Good morning, everyone. It's me, Rory Paddock, and it is the day that the racing world takes centre stage. It's Grand National Day. To many people, it is the equivalent of racing's Christmas Day. I'm sure everyone that you work with, or your friends, your family, etc., this is perhaps their only bet of the year. All eyes are on racing, and hopefully, I can kickstart Saturday's Aintree meeting off with a bang. If you want our Grand National selections, you'll have to wait till later on in the video. But without further ado, I'm going to go through these, I think, all the races for Saturday at Aintree. Hopefully, we can be lucky in Liverpool. I will sort of advise that a lot of today's selections are perhaps slightly obscure. The odds and the selections I'm going to be quoting when it's sort of perhaps a bit of an obscure bet, they're all done with Paddy Power, and it is their top finish bets. But I'll get to that later on in the video. And without further ado, I'm going to get things underway with the 120. And there's two at decent prices that I like the look of. First up, we've got Camsinas, a horse that has perhaps been handled relatively carefully this season, and I think avoiding the Cheltenham Festival was probably a decent thing. This would have been its target, and I think 20 to 1 is a way too big a price, considering it represents big time connections as well. Camsinas looks a decent each way punt in the opener. Sticking with the opener, a horse that didn't miss the Cheltenham Festival is Push the Button. Did far better than many expected to finish sixth in the Martin Pipe. I'm hoping that race hasn't taken too much out of it. A repeat effort, if it can reproduce that form that it showed at Cheltenham, then I think current price of 25 to 1 looks drastically big in what is possibly and probably a weaker race than the one it took part in at Cheltenham. Those are my two to kick start Saturday's meeting, hopefully with a winner and hopefully at decent odds. Head on to race two, it's the 155, and this is the first of one of my obscure bets. So I'll apologise in advance, but I'd rather give you something that I think is going to come in than just pick a horse to win or whatever, just for the sake of it. Um, Horica's Pearl and Lambert are really well fancied for this race, and Castle Carrick is massive price. So what I've decided, rather than either giving Castle Carrick each way and it doing well and failing to make the frame, or the top three, or doing something as simple as giving Lil Amber and it ends up being odds on. I've combined all three horses, all of them to finish in the top five, just pays just over 3 to 1, 3.03 to 1. That's at the time of just before recording, which was around 8:25 this morning. Those five, if you like I said, go onto Paddy Power, go onto the race itself, look for top finish, and you can add multiple horses into, whether it's top five, top four, top three, top six. Depends on the amount of runners. But I've done those three horses all to finish in the top five. Pays just over 3 to 1. Bit of interest and perhaps something a little bit different than your normal winner each way bets. If you're watching this and you're perhaps not um, an avid punter or someone who's as clued up in the terms of betting sphere, then obviously, I appreciate this might be a little bit more trickier. But if you don't have a Paddy Power account, it's dead simple. Go onto the race itself on the website. Look at the top of the bar. You'll see winning each way. You'll see various different betting markets, and the one you're looking for says top finish. Those three horses all to finish in the top five. They're in the 155. We then go to the 230, and I'm going to go Shake 'em Up Harry, a horse that's done well here at Aintree previously without actually winning. There's a few question marks over the trip, but the horse did well over this course and distance previously. It certainly, I think, it placed. Um, Handicap mark isn't anything overly drastic to worry about. And again, it's another horse that I think is just really massively overpriced at 25 to 1. Shake 'em up, Harry. Obviously, for former football manager Harry Redknapp, certainly he's great value when you see him on TV. If you can end up in the winners' enclosure, don't think there'd be a happier man in Aintree this afternoon. Shake 'em up, Harry, there to go well in the third race on the card. We'll then go to the race before the big one. It's the Grade 1 contest over 3 miles. And again, I have gone for another slightly obscure bet. You could potentially, if you're feeling a bit braver, go for these three to do some sort of combination tri-cast, but to finish first, second, and third in any order. Tehupo was all bar Bob Ollinger, sorry, was miles ahead of the rest in the in the Stayers Hurdle. I think a repeat of that will see him go, super close. Kitzbühel avoided the festival, but represents the absolute powerhouse that is Willie Mullins and Paul Townend, so that's going to be respected. And the wall park wasn't far away than the Stayers Hurdle at Cheltenham. I think it'll appreciate this flatter course and will actually finish closer to Tehupu this time. You've got Strong Leader. I think that horse is perhaps on a decline. And then you've got Home by the Lee. I would really worry about the fact that it unseated its rider last time out, whether or not that's left any sort of mark. Lowe's 5 seem to be the 5 that are really vying for, sort of like the top head of the betting. And I'm quite happy to get rid of Strong Leader and Home by the Lee and discount them. You know, those 3 to finish in the top 4, it gives it that sort of little bit of leeway where if another horse wants to end up in the mix, so be it. But as long as those 3 claim first, second, third, or second, third, fourth, or whatever combination of the top 4, then we would get paid just over 3.5 to 1 at 3.65 to 1 for those 3 all to finish and make up one of the first 4 placings. Another bet in the same race, and I know it seems crazy, I'm picking what is 5 horses in a field that's not that big, but these are 2 that I think could go really well at big prices. I just wasn't confident enough in either of them being able to finish in the top 3. Buddy One has a cracking record at Aintree, and Monmoral, I think, is a horse that people are sleeping on. It's not performed at its best in Grade 1 company, but it's won at Grade 2 level, and I don't think it'll have to be some sort of superstar to get close to some of the main protagonists. Buddy One and Monmoral, both to finish in the top 6, pays just under 4 to 1. So I thought perhaps I'm a little bit more confident with the previous 3, but I think that these 2 deserve some sort of little bet. If you wanted to back them each way just on the hope that they finish in the top 3, I couldn't necessarily put you off for a small stake. But Buddy One and Monmoral, both to finish in the top 6, just under 4 to 1. Very small stakes for that one, but why not? Let's throw the dice and see what happens. We then obviously go to the big one. It's going to be the 4 o'clock. It's the Grand National. It's the race that stops the nation. If you want to know my selections, however, I want to be a real spoil sport. You've got to head on over to Racing Daily. If you've not visited it already, racing-daily, so racing-daily.com. Go over there. It's all completely free. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to pay for tips. It's myself and the rest of the team of pundits have all given our thoughts for the big race. We've even gone through all the 30 plus runners, given a bit of a star rating for each horse. So hopefully that'll help you decide for the big race. Obviously, it's a lottery. I always advise, as everyone comes out of the woodwork as soon as you know that you're in the racing world and they go, you've not spoken to them for the previous 365 years, but everyone wants a tip for the national. I always say it's a lottery, small stakes, have a bit of fun. If you want to have a proper bet, there's probably other races on the card where you can probably get stuck into and have a bit more confidence. But it's the Grand National. It's the race that made me, as it did with many, many people, get into the world of racing. I Grand National morning, I always feel like a big kid. So, but if you do want those selections, head on over to Racing Daily or visit our Twitter or Facebook, and you'll be able to find out who me and the rest of the team are picking in the big race. We've got 2 races left at Aintree, and the 5 o'clock, Load Assert and Only by Night. They were really close in the Arkle. I think those 2 stand out head and shoulders above the other 4 in the race, despite the fact that they both went to Cheltenham. If they're still fit and that race hasn't left any sort of war wounds, then Load Assert and Only by Night are head and shoulders above all the others in that race. It's only a 6-runner contest, and I think those 2 will finish first and second. I'm not sure what order, so we're going to put them in a reverse forecast. For those looking for a price for that, obviously the price for that doesn't be revealed until after the race, simply because the market's changed and it's a tote bet. So Load Assert and Only by Night to finish first and second in either order in the penultimate race. And in the lucky last, the 5:35, we've got Mossy Fen Road and the Larbo. Mossy Fen Road, really impressive when winning last time out. That came after a really substantial break. And I think that horse is rightly the favourite. Um, I think it's about 4-1, 7-2, top of the market. Do I think it's a cert to win? No, I don't. But I'd be shocked if it's not making the frame. And the Irish Raider Lalabo represents Joseph O'Brien's yard. A yard that does well in this sort of sphere. Did nothing wrong, won its first race. The form looks solid enough. Obviously, a lot of these horses have only had a couple of runs, if that. Um, and I think we won't know how good the form is until later down the line. But did nothing wrong to win its race. Did it in impressive enough style. And I think those two, both to finish in the top five. Relatively short price, but it's under 2.5 to 1. It's 2.22 to 1 at the time of recording this, and I think that's fair enough. Those two should be on anyone's shortlist for this race, and duly so based on what they've done so far. My only other bet away from these is this, and it's a bit of an obscure one, but I'm going to combine some of the obscure bets I've given so far. Tehupo, Kitzbühel, and the Wall Park all to finish in the top five. Loaded Sud, Only by Night, both to finish in the top three, and Mossy Fen Road and the Labo both to finish in the top five. If all of those come in, it pays just over 16 to 1. I think that's actually a relatively generous price. 16.39 to 1. I think that's fair enough for those horses. Again, if you're looking to do these slightly obscure top finish bets, then head on over to Paddy Power. Just let you know I'm not uncommissioned by Paddy Power, but that's who I bet with. So I'd rather be transparent and honest. Find the race that you're looking for and look for top finish, which will be at the head of the race card as one of the betting options. You can add them all to your slip and it'll allow you to put them in an accumulator. I've been Rory Paddock for Racing Daily. Enjoy what is the biggest race in horse racing world. Enjoy the national. Obviously, make sure all jockeys, horses come home safe and sound above all else. If you're going to have a bet, then fingers crossed, touch wood, and good luck if you follow.